Welcome back to Speller Tutorial Services. In today's video we're going to solve a equation by making it quadratic, and we're going to do that by using a method called the substitution method. We begin here by seeing this equation is close to being a quadratic but not quite. So what we do is we'll take this x squared and we're going to substitute that for a value. We're going to say here that the letter u is going to be the same thing as x squared, and if we were to square the value of u, that means we would also have to square the value of x squared, and we know that when we raise a power to a power, we actually end up multiplying the exponents. So 2 times 2 actually comes out to be 4. Now at this point I can do a substitution and actually show this equation in terms of u. So instead of writing x to the fourth, I'm going to write u squared, because that's what's shown in my substitution, minus 2, and instead of x squared I'm going to use the value of u. Keep this as minus 3, and that is all set equal to 0. Now I do have a quadratic because my highest exponent is a 2. At this point I need to multiply this first coefficient with a negative 3. This here is understood to be a 1. So 1 times 3 to give me a negative 3. So negative 3 is what I call my magic number. With this magic number I need to list its factors, and those factors are going to have to add up to a negative 2. So the factors of negative 3 are negative 1 and positive 3, or a positive 1 and negative 3. If I add my first two factors together, negative 1 plus 3, that gives me a positive 2. And my second two factors, 1 minus 3, that gives me a negative 2. We notice here with my middle term, it is a negative 2. So that means I can disregard these first two factors, and I'm going to use my second two factors, which would be here the 1 and the negative 3. So now I rewrite the equation now as a pair of factors. Here I'm going to place u's on the left hand side, and I know I have a positive 1 and I know that I have a negative 3. At this point I have two factors that when multiplied have an outcome of 0. That means if either factor is 0, then I could make this equation here true. So I'm going to rewrite these factors as two separate equations where both of them are set equal to 0. So u plus 1 equals 0 and u minus 3 equals 0. Now I'm going to solve for u. Here I see that u is negative 1, and on the right hand side here I see that u is equal to a positive 3. Now that things are still in terms of u, I need to switch back to my original substitution. In my original substitution I said that the letter u is the same thing as x squared, so I'm going to continue up here at the top. Instead of writing u, I'm going to write x squared is equal to negative 1 for my first equation here, and then for my second one it's going to be x squared is equal to 3. Now I need to solve for x. Since these are squared, I need to use the square root to solve these problems, and here the square root of x squared is x. And now here I have the square root of negative 1, and this here turns out to be plus or minus I. For my second equation I do the same thing. I need to change this x squared into just an x. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides, and in doing so here I see that x is equal to plus or minus root 3. So here I actually have two imaginary roots, and I also have two irrational roots for this particular problem. That sums it up for this particular video by Speller Tutorial Services. Please friend us on Facebook and also subscribe to our YouTube channel, both found under the same name. And as always, thank you for watching.